During the time I've been interacting with artists and looking at work, I found that there are two types of artists, and I believe each can learn from the other. And it's an interesting thought experiment to look at your own stuff and try to determine which camp you belong to. I'm interested in what you think, so if you find yourself in one of these following descriptions, let me know which one you are in the comments. So both of these types I'm going to talk about seem to have specific inclinations toward doing what's easy for them while avoiding something they're afraid of. Once you've identified your type, I'll give you my 2 cents on how I got out of my own loop and broken into the territory I was initially afraid of. So the first type is the eternal practicers. This is where I was in for a long time. These people are afraid of making mistakes. They're afraid of not being good enough. They're mainly afraid of not being skilled enough. They fall into the trap of practicing technique to no end while dedicating little time, if any at all, to creating their own actual art that is outside of practicing fundamentals or gesture and anatomy and so forth. So these people usually have a very lavish goal of becoming incredibly technically skilled, and they believe they just didn't put in the time yet. In their mind, their work does not have the right to exist or be seen until it's up to par with the best of technicians to ever have existed. So, and once they're skilled enough, they'll start creating their own art. That's what they think. In practice, they sometimes put off creating any actual pieces for years because they don't believe they've reached the level that allows for it. And so the second type is kind of like the opposite of the first. Let's call them the expressives. Intuitives. These people might have a bad experience with fundamental training. They often have an internal belief that it is too boring, or that they just don't have what it takes to be very skilled in the technical sense, or that it's going to cramp their style. These people are often very naturally gifted with style. They're able to cover up a lack of fundamental knowledge with cool-looking lines and artistic brushstrokes, but they fail to develop the hard-earned confidence of someone who practiced their fundamentals deeply. They very often create a volume of work that, while impressive on the surface, never gets to that next level of mastery and skill. So both of these types are essentially the same if you think about it. They work hard on one aspect of their craft, and because of fear, they neglect or procrastinate on the other. And while I don't believe that any of these types should force themselves to go against their own nature, I do believe that a well-rounded artist is one who is able to benefit from both technical practice and self-expression. So how do you practically give yourself a nudge toward the other direction? Not change your whole personality, just a nudge. As an eternal practicer, I found that flipping the order of things does wonders. If you're inclined to practice and neglect creating actual pieces, create a personal piece before you sit down to practice. Same thing goes for the expressives. If you're used to just doodling without thinking, go ahead and practice something boring before you get into your doodling routine. You don't have to worry about getting back to your comfort zone because after all, it is your comfort zone. You're going to end up there anyway. You will go back there anyway. By flipping the order of things and forcing yourself to start from what you don't like, you avoid draining yourself with your usual routine and actually get some new stuff done. Good luck to you, my friend. Let's go.